most disc golfers, this is what it looks like to make a 20-foot putt. But for Alan Sweeten, this is what it looks like to make that same 20-foot putt. Alan's sight was almost completely lost from complications resulting from the removal of a cancerous brain tumor in May of 2008. For those that are new to the sport, disc golf is a sport that plays much like golf, but instead of using a club to get a ball into a cup, you are throwing a disc to land in a basket. For Alan Sweeten and his father Andrew, disc golf had been part of their lives even before they knew the sport formally existed.
We had designed a course back in the 90s around our house just using regular Frisbees. Really had no idea that the sport of disc golf existed until Alan went off to college and we visited, and he had seen something in the paper about a Frisbee golf course at a park. So we went and checked it out, and sure enough they had these metal baskets with chains in them that would catch the disc. It was really pretty cool.
For the Sweetens, disc golf has had a special father and son bonding experience.
For Alan and I, it's been a real passion. We've spent time at league with the Bucks County Disc Golf Alliance at Tyler. We go to tournaments all over. One of my best memories ever is he and I going out to Akron and playing in a doubles tournament and winning it together. When you have a kid that's somewhere between 18 and 20 years old and you're doing stuff with him out in the woods with discs and having fun with friends, that's a pretty cool thing to have.
In the spring of 2008, Alan was a college graduate starting a career, whose disc golfing skills were on the rise, finishing in the top 5 in tournaments over many competitors. Suddenly, at the 2008 Bowling Green Am Championship, Alan began to experience problems.
Played the first day. About halfway through the second round of the first day, I started getting a wicked headache, and the ride back to the hotel from the course we were at for the second round, I had to have my buddy pull over a few times so I could. I was sick on the side of the road basically because the pain was so bad from the headache.
His headaches became more frequent and painful. So much that in April, Alan was only able to work at his job 2 to 3 days a week. Initially, the family felt the condition was brought on by heredity.
He'd had some headaches and things, and we assumed that he had inherited migraine headaches from his mom has them, his grandmom gets them.
As the migraines persisted and prescribed medication proved to be ineffective, Alan's doctor wanted to check for other possible causes of the migraines. The result was the last thing anyone would want to hear about a loved one.
Went back to the doctor, kind of insisted that, another medicine, maybe we need to check something out, and she sent us off to get a MRI. Said, well, we'll send you, it won't show anything, but, at least we'll know. And sure enough, of course, it showed something. Turned out Alan had a tumor in his right frontal lobe.
For young Alan, the test results brought mixed feelings.
It was a relief to, finally get the MRI, and I mean, it was interesting to, it was good to know what was wrong, but at the same time, it was like, great, I have cancer, and I'm 24 years old, so it's not easy.
With one of the most traumatic of family circumstances before them, they dealt with feelings of fear and shock.
You react in pretty predictable ways. You're scared to death. You are really angry. It's a tough thing. For us, we're Christians, and for us it's a thing. We know where we'll be 100 years from now, so we get through it. I don't know how people without faith go through something like this as a family I don't know how they do it. Our faith was really important in this.
It was just such a shock, like you don't expect that at 24. Like even the neurosurgeon told me that this type of tumor, is more common in people over 70. So it's just where did this come from? Why me?
In the month of May 2008, the Sweeten family braced themselves for what modern medicine could do for the health of Alan Sweeten.
On Monday, the 12th of May, they opened up his head and took a big tumor out. They warned us he'd have some real issues with his left side. He, probably a month and a half later or so, he was still on a either with a wheelchair or with a walker. But he recovered fairly well physically in that regard.
Throughout all of the anxiety and tension, the family had one thing they could count on: Alan's Army, a large group of people from the disc golf community and Sweeten's friends and relatives reaching out over the internet and with fundraisers to assist in the recovery of Alan Sweeten.
The Alan's Army thing and the outreach to the disc golf community really came from, I had started sending some emails to concerned family and friends that want to know as things were happening, with even the initial day of the operation. Alan's in, the doctor stopped by and said things are going well, Alan's out, he's in recovery, we saw him in his room, those kinds of emails. But it grew as things happened.
The brain tumor removal surgery was a success, but there was one complication. Alan had lost his ability to see.
It was a relief to know that it was, for at least for the time, that, I don't have to worry about the cancer. But at the same time, I still can't see, and so that's frustrating too.
The big thing that happened was due to who knows what, probably lots of pressure in the brain cavity and all. He's lost his sight, he's legally blind. He's had some slow recovery over the last 6 months where it's slightly better than it had been, but still, on a scale of 1 to 100, it's down at 4. It improved from 3.
For Alan, his rehab occurred while a favorite tournament of his was being held on his home course, the Great Eastern Amateur Cup at Tyler State Park.
It was frustrating. I spent 2.5 weeks in rehab after I was in the intensive care unit for a week and a half for the initial surgery after that. So I was in rehab for about 2.5 weeks, and during that time was the 2008 Great Eastern Amateur Cup. And so I remember my dad went out in the morning to help and was there for part of the day, and then he came to the hospital to visit with me after, and he was, calling people back at the tournament and to tell me what scores were and how things were going. And so it was good to know that things were going on without me, but it was frustrating to not be there and not be able to participate.
To get back into playing, Alan played around for the first time in over a month on a local course.
In general, last June, shortly after getting out of the rehab hospital and being able to move around himself without a walker or a wheelchair or whatever, we had gone out to a local course in New Jersey, at Liberty Corner, which is a nice flat course on grass, doesn't require a lot of climbing and all, and gotten him out there, and he threw a little bit, and that was just amazing to him. The sport's so important to him that to lose your sight, even to come back physically and all is fine, but to lose your sight for a sport like this where you need to see the trees and you need to see where the basket is and all those kinds of things, that's a real tough thing.
For Alan, playing in the Great Eastern Amateur Cup in 2009 was an opportunity for him to rejoin the disc golf community as a player, and he was able to play thanks to one of the most kindest and giving players disc golf has to offer. B.O.B. Bob Graham.
I really couldn't think of anyone better to be my caddy, to spend a day with, and, I really have to rely a lot on, not just on the throwing, but, the course is pretty rough terrain with lots of hills and logs that you can trip over, and so I have, need someone I can trust who can guide me and make sure that I'm, safe.
As Alan Biggs Sweeten finished out on his second to the last hole at the 2009 Great Eastern Amateur Cup, Dad shared his feelings on seeing his son playing in a tournament on his home course again.
I'm crying, man. What can I tell you? It's awesome. He's out here having a blast. All his friends are out here. It's just, a year ago, who'd think he'd be doing this? So we're just thrilled to death. It's fantastic.
As Alan lines up at his 5th lie, he lines up for his 6th shot on a par 4 hole for a 20-foot putt. After making the putt, he gets a much-deserved congratulations and applause from fellow club members, his caddy, and the entire gallery watching. He also gets a great big hug from Mom. But it was hugs from Dad Andrew Sweeten and Bob Enman that were most emotional.
They're like 15.
He's never seen the course, so it doesn't intimidate him because he's never seen the hole. He just does what Bob tells him.
Alan has nothing but words of encouragement for those who are challenged to continue to pursue their passion beyond having a disability.
There's, lots of ways you can overcome. It's like if it's something that you really love to do, there are ways that you can find a way.
With Alan's participation in the 2009 Great Eastern Amateur Cup Tournament, Tournament Director John Burkham presented a unique award at the award ceremony.
Called the Role Model Trophy. I think we know why. So, I want to thank him for coming out here today and continuing to play the sport.
As Alan accepts the award, he shares his feelings on his inspiring return.
It was great to play a full tournament, though. Rough 36 holes. I finished last in my division by a good amount, but I had a great time, and I'm just happy to be back out. And I appreciate everyone there on the final hole.
We love you, Alan!
Alan may have lost his sight, but not his love for playing the game of disc golf. And with the help from Alan's Army, he has returned to the course he loves again.